So we cleaned the hub up, and we're getting ready to fix that one hole that the thread stripped out of. So I purchased a coil thread repair kit, including the tap that will restore it to a 7/16 threaded hole. I decided to do that because I was having trouble finding a 20 pitch half-inch stud to replace it with. So we're going to set this up on the drill press and drill out the hole. The bit is a 29/64, which is also the standard bit to use if you are tapping a 20 pitch hole. Okay, we drilled out the hole with the 29/64 bit. Now we're going to tap it, and again, because it's cast iron, which machines really nicely, we can just go ahead and tap this, putting a little oil on it occasionally. So I'm driving the threaded insert in using a bolt that I cut a slot in that goes around the driving bar, and then just hand tightening with a socket that fits that bolt, in this case 9/16. Trimmed off the excess of the thread insert, and as you can see, the 7/16 stud bolt is threading into it, so just be a matter of how tightly it holds. So the thread on that hole is fixed. Now that we've fixed our threaded hole, we're going to put in the new outer oil seal. So once again, we're going to use the Loctite 660 retaining compound around the hub chamber where the seal will go. Again, with the so there's the outer seal in place, again like we did with the inner seal that's over on the tractor itself. We used the 660 Loctite, got a piece of PVC pipe that's the right size, put some wood over it, and then just bang it in with a hammer, and it went right in. It's time to begin reassembly. So I have the axle on a board so that the threads won't get screwed up, and the hub with the new outer seal has been placed on the axle. And now the idea is that we're going to drive the bearing back onto the axle. I've honed out the inside of the bearing so it doesn't have any high spots. It's nice and smooth. So we're going to put the bearing on the axle, and then we have 2-inch steel pipe that we're going to use for driving it, and a standard post hole fence post driver to see if that has enough force to drive this on. Alright, so that worked quite nicely. The bearing is driven back into place. I know because it's reached a mark that I had scored in the axle before pulling it, so the hub has enough play to come up like it did before. I had that much play in it, plus I've reached the mark on the axle that I had scored previously. So driving it on with a piece of 2-inch steel pipe and a standard fence post driver has pressed the bearing back in place. Next will be to put the heat shrink collar on. So the idea with the heat shrink collar is that you're supposed to heat it preferably red hot and then drop it on the axle, and from what I've read, it wasn't clear whether you still have to drive it at that point or whether it just drops into place and then cools, but we'll see. So it's heating up right now. I may have to put an air source on that to get it really hot, but we'll see. Also, over here I've got got a bucket of water here. I don't want it to, the axle itself has a pretty big mass. I don't think the heat will transfer enough to melt the new outer seal, but I don't want to take a chance, so once I get it in place, I'm going to go ahead and do a water quench to stop it. So I think it's as hot as it's going to be over this wood fire, so I'm going to go ahead and try it. And it did, it just went right down. Don't even have to touch it. Went right to the bearing. Now I'm going to quench it. So there it is, quenched in there. And we'll see if it truly did shrink around that axle or not, as I've been reading about. We'll just leave it in the water for a few minutes so it can cool down adequately. Alright, let's pull it out. It's still pretty hot, but I think it's sufficiently cool. So we're just going to let it sit there. Check it in a minute. Okay, so the heat shrink fitting has cooled down. I can touch it with my fingers and it's definitely on there tight, just as described, so that process actually works. You just heat it sufficiently hot, it drops on. I chose to rapid cool it because I was worried about my oil seal, but it's on there and not budging. So since the heat shrink had to light the grill for the heat shrink collar, might as well grill a steak.